In 2011-2012, Manchester City won the Premier League with that famous Aguero goal on the last day of the season. Despite finishing level on 89 points with Sir Alex Ferguson's Manchester United, Roberto Mancini's City had a greater goal difference of 64 to Manchester United's 56. The following season in 2012-2013, Manchester United would storm the Premier League, winning it by 11 points. But what changed to allow United to regain their title? Well, that summer in 2012, after Manchester City had won the title, Sir Alex Ferguson and Manchester United went out and signed the Premier League's top goal scorer, Robin van Persie, who in the 2011-2012 season had scored 30 league goals for Arsenal. He had just 1 year left on his contract come that summer, and so United were able to sign him for £24 million. And that transfer proved to be the catalyst for Manchester United's title win, as Van Persie in the 2012-2013 season would score 26 Premier League goals, the top scorer in the Premier League for a second season in a row. But why is that relevant to Manchester United today? Well, before I break that down, for cheap good quality football jerseys, retro jerseys and tracksuits, go over to www.jerseyfifa.com. I myself have bought a few jerseys from Jersey FIFA and they've always been great quality at an affordable price. The favourite one I have is probably my Manchester United 2003-2004 jersey with Ronaldo on the back. It's from his first season. So if you want a current season or retro jersey, go over to Jersey FIFA, a link will be left in the description, and use code ATLANTISFOOTBALL to get 5% off, which will help to support the channel. So the reason the Robin van Persie story is relevant to Manchester United today is that Manchester United have the potential to maybe sign a player who could do a similar thing to what Van Persie did for Ferguson's Manchester United back in 2012-2013. See, at any one time in the football world, there are certain players that are so good that them individually can literally change their whole team's trajectory. If you think about how much of a game changer Lionel Messi was for Barcelona over the past few seasons, how Luis Suarez in 2013-14 almost dragged Liverpool kicking and screaming to a Premier League title, and how we are seeing players like Robert Lewandowski produce output that is borderline legendary. And after looking at examples like these, you can see why teams do spend massive amounts of money on individual players, as the amount of points, games won and overall trophies that these players bring to your side is so much greater than even a player who's just a level below them, that sometimes it can be worth it to shell out these massive sums to bring in these players. There are a few players in world football at the moment that I do think come into this category. I would definitely say Lewandowski, Lionel Messi, Cristiano Ronaldo, but I would also put Kylian Mbappe and Mo Salah into that conversation, as well as a player that this video is about, Erling Haaland. Now, when the topic of Erling Haaland potentially making a move to the Premier League is discussed in the media, there does seem to be a lot of negativity towards the sums of money that Mino Raiola and his client seem to be demanding from their next club. Now, Erling Haaland does have a release clause in his contract which does become active in the summer. It's unclear exactly how much that is, but we do know it's between 65 million and 85 million. And even though that does sound like a bargain because of how good Haaland is, if you actually factor in the rest of the package, it does seem very expensive. See, because Raiola negotiated a release clause into the contract, usually what happens is that the agent and the player will expect a bigger sum of money in other areas to compensate for the reduced transfer fee for the club they're joining. This is why players who leave their contract on a free generally have bigger wages than players who make a move with a transfer fee. According to reports, Haaland and Raiola are going to demand a salary of at least £30 million per year, which is around $41 million. And just to put that into perspective, Cristiano Ronaldo is currently Manchester United's highest earner with £26.5 million per year. De Gea earns £19.5 million, Jadon Sancho is 18.2, Varane is at 17.6 million, and Paul Pogba is at £15 million. So Erling Haaland would be Manchester United's highest earner by around 15 to 20%. So if we are going to judge how much Haaland would actually cost, I think it's fair to add on around 15 million for each season he is there, because he's going to be earning around 15 million pounds more than another top level player that Manchester United could potentially bring in. But let's just focus on one season. We'll add the 15 million pounds because it's going to get too complicated. So we'll add 15 million pounds onto around 75 million pounds, which is the likely transfer fee, taking us to 90 million pounds. But you've also got to factor in Mino Raiola's agent fee, which will likely be between 30 and 40 million pounds, I would assume. So add on another 30 for Raiola, and you could probably add on another 20 to 30 as well for Haaland's signing on fee, which will take it to at least 140 to around 150 million pounds. Now obviously these are just rough estimates of what I think the fees may be, but if we are actually going to judge whether Haaland would be a good signing, it's better to do it this way than just look at the release clause, because there are some hidden fees that people aren't factoring in. So Haaland, likely if you want to sign him this summer, he's going to cost 150 million pounds just for the first season, which is his excess wages plus all the fees for Raiola and Haaland and the transfer fee combined. But is he worth it? But before I come on to that, just a reminder, I do have a Patreon where I will be releasing a video looking at my top 5 favourite commentary moments, where commentators like Peter Drury and Martin Tyler will be featured. So if you want to see that video, go to my Patreon, it will be linked in the description below. For £5 a month, you'll get 2 extra videos per week, plus a weekly newsletter. I do already have some other Patreon videos available for you to watch, such as my video on whether David Moyes should have been given more time at Manchester United, and a video where I build a starting 11 of retired Premier League players to win the Premier League in 2022. So if you do want exclusive content and to help support the channel, then click the link in the description. But if not, just by watching this video till the end and watching my other videos, which will be linked in the description below, you will be helping to support the channel as well, which will all be much appreciated. Well, I would say yes, without a doubt. And that's because if you're going to value Haaland properly in this current market, if you took out the release clause, I think he'd be worth at least £200 million. I would value Mbappe around 180 million if his contract wasn't coming to an end at PSG, but I would value Haaland higher than that, and when I break down the statistics in just a minute, you'll see why. See, if you are going to sign one of these mega players, you've really got to ask yourself, is it better that we sign this one individual player, or use the transfer fee to sign 3 or 4 other players? And so you've got to work out whether having this one player in your side is going to be worth more points, more wins, and overall more trophies than having 3 or 4 other top level players in that team. And whilst I did use Robin van Persie and Luis Suarez as examples, I actually think the Haaland transfer is a better deal than those two. See, with Erling Haaland, you're not just going to get the best striker in the league, you're not even going to get the best striker of a generation, you're potentially getting one of the best players of all time. Erling Haaland and Mbappe, to a lesser degree I would say, are going to be competing for Messi and Ronaldo's throne. And if there are any 2 players right now that are going to be considered the greatest of all time in 10 years, without doubt it's going to be Erling Haaland and Kylian Mbappe. If we look at his FBref report over the last 365 days when compared against every other forward in Europe's top 5 leagues, we can see that he ranks in the 99th percentile, which is the top percentile for non-penalty goals with 0.89 per 90, whilst also ranking in the 98th percentile for non-penalty XG with 0.67, and that means that he's overperforming his non-penalty XG rate by a massive 0.22 goals per 90. Last season he scored 27 goals in 28 appearances in the Bundesliga, 25 of those were non-penalties, and so far this season, despite only playing 904 Bundesliga minutes, he scored 10 non-penalty goals, 13 goals in all. That means he's scoring 0.9956 non-penalty goals per 90 minutes, which means he's basically scoring 1 non-penalty goal per 90 minutes. And if we look at a fellow Bundesliga player, Robert Lewandowski, he's also scoring 0.99 non-penalty goals per 90 minutes, which like Haaland is basically a non-penalty goal every 90 minutes, showing how good not just Lewandowski is, but how good Erling Haaland is. And you've also got to factor in that Lewandowski is playing for the best team in the league in Bayern Munich, and Erling Haaland's playing for Borussia Dortmund. And also Robert Lewandowski is 33 years old, whereas Erling Haaland is just 21 years old. So Haaland statistically probably won't reach his peak until the age of 28 or 29, which is a good 7 or 8 years away. So you can imagine how much he's going to improve in that time period. This is why I think United have to go all out to sign Erling Haaland. Yes, they do need a right back, potentially a centre-back, a central midfielder, and maybe another attacking midfielder as well if players were to leave. But the problem is if Manchester United don't try and sign Erling Haaland, the likelihood is that he could go to another Premier League side. And imagine how far United are going to be away from the Premier League if you put Erling Haaland in either Liverpool or Manchester City's side. Now this isn't to say just to sign players so other teams can't, but when you have a player like Erling Haaland and Mbappe, I think you have to do whatever you can to sign one of those players, as these are generational talents. Think about how much Barcelona and Real Madrid were able to dominate the 2010s just by having Cristiano Ronaldo and Lionel Messi in their side. That's going to be the same for the 2020s with Mbappe and Erling Haaland. It looks like Mbappe is going to go to Real Madrid, so Erling Haaland is the only real generational legendary talent that United can get, and that's why I would say United need to go all out, even if it means paying a huge transfer fee, because signing Erling Haaland for between 150 to 200 million pounds all included, to me is a much better deal than signing a player like Bruno Fernandes for 50 million pounds, as even though Bruno Fernandes is an exceptional player, Erling Haaland is literally going to make you a Champions League contender just by having him in the side. Also, bringing in Erling Haaland is significantly less of a risk than bringing in someone like even Bruno Fernandes when he first came to Manchester United, as Fernandes was unproven in the Premier League and players can always dip down, and Fernandes' level, even though it went up at Manchester United at Sporting Lisbon, it was nowhere near what Erling Haaland's is at Dortmund, and I think United really have to go all out and sign Erling Haaland, as it could be a game changer over the next decade or so. And I do think that we will see teams regret not going harder for Mbappe and Erling Haaland when they had the chance. So thank you for watching. If you haven't already, remember to subscribe to the channel and click the bell for notifications. Sign up to my Patreon if you do want exclusive content, and go to the description to check out some of my other videos as well as some of the videos on the screen right now, and put your thoughts in the comments section below.